Hello everyone, my name is Virenn, and today I'm going to be walking you through how I drew Tracer from Overwatch. When I started recording this video, I had already gotten a majority of my sketches done. I had the sketch for Tracer, I had the sketch for the background, and I layered the background colors. But before I started painting, I figured I should just record it so that I can walk you through the whole process. When I draw backgrounds, I tend to stick to kind of nature backgrounds because that's what I like to do the most. And this is the first time I've ever drawn anything close to a city. And it was kind of a weird process for me, but I ended up liking how it came out. But later on, I end up blurring the entire thing to give it that look of in motion, because it's going to be, the whole picture is going to end up being Tracer blinking through time, and I wanted to reflect that. Most of what we're doing right here is just kind of layering over colors, because I like everything to look kind of smooth out. Again, not that it's going to really matter much later, because this is going to get a motion blur effect over it, but I wanted it to look as clean as possible before we went right into that. Over here, I just kind of changed the opacity of the background layer to about, I believe about 50%. That way, when I put the base color down for Tracer, I could see, you know, if I missed anything, I wouldn't have gone through the lines or anything like that. So this is actually one of the very first times that I've done a grayscale to color painting. And I say one of the first times because I've actually tried this method before when I was a lot younger. There was an artist on DeviantArt that I really admired, and they did grayscale to color paintings. And I thought, hey, this artist that I really like does it, I want to try it too. But when I tried it, it looked like a complete disaster. And, you know, working on this now and looking back, I know why it turned out so bad. And that was because I used grays that were way too light and didn't bring out the color properly. And, you know, when I started this, I was kind of apprehensive, but I honestly, I really didn't think about it. I looked at this and I was like, you know what would be fun? It'd be fun to suffer and try this grayscale painting again. And, you know, that's what I did. You can see actually in my layers under this painting, I have a complete set of flats ready, and because I did this painting in about 4 or 5 sittings, every time I stopped before I went into the coloring process, I would drag that layer over, and I would just kind of see if, you know, if the colors were just coming out the way I had hoped. And ultimately it did. And because of that, you know, I would totally do this again, and I would actually recommend, you know, to anyone who likes to draw that they should try this too. I learned a lot about shading from this, and I learned a lot about colors, and again, it was just a process I actually found that I really enjoyed, because personally my favorite thing to do is digital paintings, and you know, with this I could concentrate on the way that I kind of like layered the grays over each other instead of having to look at the colors and be like, oh, well, I have to think about, you know, how the colors look, you know, what I'm shading with. Whereas with this, you know, it was all about just working with the grays and just doing what I love, which is, you know, digital painting. So I don't think that I've mentioned my brush settings yet in this video. I'm using a brush called Painter's Brush, and it's something that is a free download online. I'm gonna go ahead and link it in the description of the video. As a self-taught artist, something that I've always, you know, that always drove me crazy was when you watch a video or you read a tutorial and the artist uses this like really cool brush, but you have no clue what it is and you don't know how to replicate it. That always drove me crazy. So I'm gonna make sure that I link all of the brushes I use in the description of this video. I go through these like weird phases with brushes. I've purchased brushes, I've downloaded a ton throughout the years. And for some reason, whenever I find a brush that I really, really like, I kind of stick with it for a while. and I don't switch until, you know, on a whim I'm like, oh hey, I used to like this brush, let me try it again. So as of right now, painter's brush is my go-to brush. I think I used it for most of this video. I used it on the sketch, the shading, the background. This also came with a set of grunge brushes, which I used a little bit, I think, in the background. You can probably see in the corner right here. So far, yeah, this is my favorite brush for now. It'll probably change. So what digital painting is for me is it's going over something, zooming out, looking at what needs to be done or fixed, zooming back in, and just kind of making things a little sharper. And with this, I spent so much time just kind of working with the colors, making things sharper, painting over my sketch, erasing things from my sketch. Because for me, a sketch is pretty much, it's not like I have to follow my sketch exactly. For me, it's more like a guideline. Like, this is what it could look like, but things change as I get to drawing. For some reason, like right now, I did not want to work on Tracer's shoes. I really don't know why I was being so stubborn about it. Maybe I just felt a little lazy, and I thought, you know, it was going to take a while to work through. So every time I thought about going to do her shoes, I ended up moving onto another part of the painting that I wanted to, you know, tweak a little bit. Like over here, I went back to work on Tracer's hair and a bit of her face. I decided that I was going to work on the other gun before I, you know, went back to work on the shoes. And for some reason, I didn't think about rotating the canvas. Rotating the canvas, for me, it kind of, you know, helps me look at something in a different way. You know, I also like to flip my canvas because sometimes I might think something looks okay as I'm drawing it, but when I flip it is when I realize that, you know, something looks kind of weird about it, and, you know, flipping helps me see what might need to be fixed. You know, right now I'm still looking for other things to do other than the shoes, but now that I finally went and, you know, it was the last thing I had to do, I just kind of sucked it up and just did it. It didn't take as long as I was worried it was going to take, and I really don't know why. I just didn't want to do it. I don't know why. I'm gonna be honest. I was just being kind of lazy about it. So after I finished the shoes, I went back and I added a couple of small details that I almost missed. Tracer has 2 earrings that I almost completely overlooked and would have forgotten about if I didn't have my reference picture next to me. And also on her legs, right there's that like honeycomb pattern. I downloaded a pattern, and I'm also going to link that into the description below. The colors, I'm going to be honest, I don't like to use a lot of layers, but for this I ended up using a bunch, and I tried to name them so I wouldn't, you know, forget. But most of my layers so far, they were set to overlay, and that kind of helps bring out the color. Every once in a while I would go back and I would, you know, go to the grayscale drawing and fix another small detail that I missed. And again, you can see that I keep adding swatches of colors that I used, because if I needed to go back and fix something, I didn't feel like changing the layer setting. I could just, you know, jump over and fix it really fast, and it wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't take too long. For the pants, I would suggest doing a base of yellow first, making a new layer and adding a gradient onto it. There's a foreground to a transparent gradient that I used. For skin, I kind of picked like this peach color, and I think I set it to overlay and then another to multiply at and set the layer opacity on the multiply layer to about 50%. I also added a little bit of pink to her cheeks because I thought it broke up the color a little bit. And here I'm just adding small details to the leather jacket that I thought looked pretty cool. So for the glow, what I ended up doing was having a base of blue. Over that, I added a new layer set to overlay with a bit of a lighter blue, and another layer over that set to luminosity with a near white color, because I thought it helped kind of bring that color out a bit more. The background, like I said, I did a motion blur effect to it, and I added a Gaussian blur over that because I thought it helped kind of smooth it out a little bit, and I didn't want that motion effect to be too harsh. I had actually thought that once I finished the glow that I had finished the painting, and I completely forgot about I guess you would call it like the bungee cord over here. I'd completely forgotten about it until I zoomed out and I looked at it and I was like, oh man, I almost forgot this really important detail. But you know, I went back and it was one of the last things I had to do before I could say, hey, this painting is finished. Most of what I'm doing right now is just kind of cleaning things up and adding some more small details. Like, I thought the shading was a little bit too light here, so I went to my grayscale painting and made it a little bit darker. I added some more shading onto her shoes and onto her chronal accelerator because I thought it helped bring it out a bit more. I added a glow to tracer to kind of reflect the glow of the accelerator, and I also worked on her patch because I actually forgot about it, which I almost couldn't believe I forgot about it. I had to actually start recording again because I didn't realize that I missed it the first time. So I actually thought working on Tracer's patch was a lot of fun because, like I said, I like working on those small details, and the part that I really liked the most was adding those lines to make it look like it was actually stitched. I spent way too long on it for what it was, simply because I had so much fun with it. But it's one of those small details that helps bring it out when you kind of take a closer look at it. And with the patch finished, we have officially finished this drawing. You know, if you have any questions at all about anything that I've done in this video, feel free to comment and I'll try to get to it right away. If you liked this video, please subscribe because I will be releasing more content as time goes on. And up next, we'll be drawing Witch Mercy in honor of Halloween. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a great day.